Hey everyone, welcome back to Liberal Breakdown. Today, we're talking about something that's as dangerous as it is performative. Donald Trump just announced he's moving U.S. nuclear submarines closer to Russia, and the way he's doing it, it's reckless. On August 1st, Trump posted on Truth Social that he's moving 2 nuclear submarines to, quote, appropriate regions in response to Russian official Dmitry Medvedev's so-called provocative threats. Let's be clear, this wasn't a Pentagon announcement. It wasn't confirmed by military leadership. It was a social media post, another made-for-TV Trump stunt dressed up as foreign policy.
President Trump says he's ordered the deployment of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines to the appropriate regions in response to threats from the former Russian president Dmitry Medvedev. Both men have been taunting each other of late after the White House this week said Russia had 10 days to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tough sanctions. In response, Mr. Medvedev reminded him that Russia possessed nuclear strike capabilities. It's not clear exactly where Mr. Trump has ordered the submarines to be deployed. We'll have reaction from Moscow in a moment with Steve Rosenberg, but first, Gary O'Donoghue has our top story from Washington.
In recent days, Donald Trump's rhetoric on Russia has turned up a notch.
Russia? I think it's disgusting what they're doing.
But rhetoric has now turned to action with the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines, not specifying whether they were the kind that could carry nuclear warheads. He was responding to the words of the former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who accused the US president of playing the ultimatum game over threats to impose fresh sanctions on Russia next week if a ceasefire in Ukraine wasn't agreed. The former president said, "Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country." In a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump said he was deploying the subs just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances.
Now, why would Trump do this? The truth is, he's under fire. His tariffs just rattled the markets. His July jobs report was the weakest in months. And public approval, especially among young voters, is tanking. This nuclear move, it's a distraction. You don't threaten nuclear deployment over a tweet. That's how wars start, not with bombs, but with ego and miscalculation. Former arms control officials are warning this is destabilizing. Experts say these subs are always deployed anyway, so repositioning them is about the optics. Let's not forget, Russia's still in Ukraine. Thousands have died, civilians, children, and Trump is turning nuclear tension into campaign content. This is a man playing Cold War cosplay with very real consequences. Nuclear submarines can carry dozens of warheads, each with 10 to 20 times the power of Hiroshima. These are not toys. If you think this is presidential behavior, ask yourself, would any responsible leader use nuclear weapons as leverage in a public feud?
We had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
All right, the threat that he is referring to does come from the former Russian president, also now currently very senior in the Russian Defense Department, Dmitry Medvedev. He is now the deputy chair of Russia's Security Council. And Medvedev said, and I quote, "Let Trump remember his favorite films about the walking dead, as well as how dangerous a dead hand that does not exist in nature can be."
When a Russian official references automatic nuclear retaliation and a former U.S. president answers with submarine deployments, we should all be paying attention. Dmitry Medvedev, former Russian president and now one of Putin's most extreme loyalists, lashed out at Trump this week after Trump called him a fool and a failed puppet. And how did Medvedev respond? He brought up Dead Hand, Russia's Cold War-era doomsday system designed to launch nukes even if the Kremlin is destroyed. He literally told Trump to rewatch zombie movies. That's how unserious and yet deeply dangerous this rhetoric has become. Dead Hand, also called Perimeter, is a real semi-automated nuclear retaliation system built by the Soviets. If it detects a massive attack and no leadership remains to respond, it launches nukes automatically. Medvedev is using this relic from the Cold War like a scarecrow to rattle Trump and remind the world, hey, we still have nukes and we're not afraid to talk about them. In response, Trump posted that he was repositioning U.S. nuclear submarines and warned Russia to back off. While these two men sling insults and hint at apocalypse, people in Ukraine are still dying. Putin continues his brutal invasion. Medvedev's threats? They're not hypothetical for families in Kyiv or Kharkiv. This is what authoritarianism looks like. Strongmen using the language of annihilation to win power or score points. And instead of calming tensions, Trump is fueling them.
Firing the messenger. President Trump firing the top official behind the government's jobs numbers. It is a stunning and an unprecedented move in the United States, coming just hours after the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is, around the world, the most trusted gold standard of jobs reporting numbers, issued a report that revised job growth, showing that job growth in the United States had slowed to a near halt over the past 3 months.
Mr. President, why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Because I think our numbers were wrong.
So the jobs report today were rigged.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think you'll see some very interesting information come out. But we got ready. You have to have honest reports. And when you look at those numbers, or when you look at just before the election, and then after the election they corrected it by 800,000 or 900,000 jobs, yeah, I would say so.
Of course, just to be clear, that revision he's talking about under Biden didn't happen after the election. It happened months before it. And here are some more facts. Erica McEnterharfer is a 20-year U.S. government veteran. She was confirmed to run the BLS by the Senate with overwhelming bipartisan support. Senator J.D. Vance at the time, of course, backed her, voted for her. And to be clear, her termination tonight is for political reasons. There's no evidence the jobs numbers were manipulated as Trump is claiming. There's no one credible or serious who's saying any such thing. Today's report was bad. It did show bad numbers, not because the numbers were cooked, but because there was weakening in the economy.
So Trump just fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because the jobs numbers made him look bad. And I mean, this isn't just another Trump moment to laugh off. This is a serious move that puts the credibility of government data and our democracy at risk. Let's unpack this. On August 1st, Trump fired Erica McEnterharfer, who led the BLS, the agency responsible for collecting and reporting employment data. The reason? A disappointing July jobs report showed only 73,000 new jobs and downward revisions to previous months. The numbers weren't flattering, and Trump immediately cried manipulation. He claimed without evidence that she was a Biden appointee who cooked the numbers. In reality, she was a career economist who'd served under both Republican and Democratic administrations. Look, we all get frustrated with economic numbers sometimes, but this isn't a PR campaign. It's the government's responsibility to give us the truth. You don't fire the referee because the score's not in your favor. And here's the problem. When you start firing people over facts, it sends a message. Only data that supports the president's narrative is allowed. Whether you agree with Trump or not, this isn't about left versus right. This is about the politicization of basic facts. The BLS isn't supposed to serve the president, it serves the public. When leaders start turning career civil servants into political enemies just for doing their jobs, we've got a real problem. As someone who cares about actual working people, not just spin. I want real data. If the job numbers suck, we need to know why. If the economy's slowing down, we need to prepare. But if the numbers get distorted to make a president look good, that's how regular folks get left behind. How are workers supposed to advocate for fair pay or safe conditions if we don't even trust the numbers anymore? How can we have smart policy when we're literally firing people for reporting reality? So yeah, this might not be the loudest headline of the week, but it's one of the most important. Truth matters. Data matters. And leadership isn't about controlling the narrative. It's about dealing with it even when it's uncomfortable. If you agree, drop a like, subscribe, and see you at the next one.